slaying.
What's up, fam? What's up? How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Today I have Minister Tayu. Minister Tayu, say hi to the fam.
Salama family, salama. How's everyone doing today?
So, family, we're gonna talk about how our DNA lines up with what we have found out historically. Now, we're not going to get into the whole haplogroup debate stuff, right? We're not getting into that. We don't care. We're not getting into the whole thing about how you identify Israel through DNA. But it's interesting that our DNA and many others, right, tie back to what we have found historically in a lot of the studies we've done about our history in Portugal, Spain, Africa, Angola, all that type of stuff, right? And so we want to present this to you all. Now, what we have done, we have been on Facebook and we have been in our Tail Ministries group, right? And several of the people in the group have also, what you're going to see today, they have done theirs. Right. And we all come from the same place. So when some of them other people get over there and say, well, how you know? Okay, we know that some of the Israelites, some of the Jews were on the boats, but we don't know if all of them were Israel. Right. I mean, come on now. Now, from what we've seen so far from the people, if you want to go there, you can go over there on Facebook and join the Tail Ministries group. You'll see that everybody comes from the same place. Everybody got the same ancestors. What's up, cuz? All of y'all, right? All of y'all Negroes out there, the Israelites. What's up, cuz? Any comments before you take over, Mr. Tayu?
Yeah. Well, when they make that statement, we don't know how many Jews came to America, but we can't say none of them came, right? They in the beginning they were like, oh, there ain't no black Jews. None, there's no such thing as black Jews. There were no black Jews in West Africa. Oh, there were no black Jews on the slave ship there are black Jews in West Africa. Oh, there were Jews on the slave ship. Oh, we just don't know, right? We don't know how many, but you can just look at our get match results, right? And you'll see we all tie back to the limbo. So somehow we're related, right? We all tie back to many of those tribes in West Africa. So even there, you can look at the DNA patterns and say, oh, we are related. So they can't say, oh, maybe one or two were on the boat. All of us are Israel according to scripture, and it's verified according to DNA. So
them curses sit on your head, you Israel.
That's right. That's right. That's the bottom line. That's what we keep trying to tell them. If those curses sit on your head, you Israel. All right. So let me share a screen. And what we're going to do is start with one of our Hotep brothers who try to prove us wrong and ends up helping us out. So let's share his video.
He was shocked.
Yeah. He didn't get the help he was looking for.
Thank you for the
some of my recent work.
Tell me, can y'all hear that? Right?
Yeah, we hear it.
Okay, just checking. All right, let's do this again.
Some of my recent work, if you read the hybrid report very attentively, you'll have to go to the footnotes. You will see there's got a lot of evidence produced for black Jewish communities in different parts of West Africa, which are not sort of based upon a particular reading of tribal history, let's put it like that, but are based on fairly hard historical fact. And this hard historical fact is the expulsion of the Jews from Spain and from Portugal at the end of the 15th century, subsequent to which a lot of Jews settled, first of all, in northwest Africa, places like Senegal, in the islands, which I'm sure you know about, Saint Tomé and Principe.
Yes, sir.
Principally. And then, less known, along the coast of Guinea, so that in the middle of the 16th century, 1560 to be precise, the Portuguese Archbishop of Goa in India proclaimed that Judaism is a kind of horrible illness which has killed millions of people throughout history, and the result of being Jewish was to be covered in shame, to fail in everything, even among the black Jews of Guinea. So, in other words, the existence of Jews in the western part of Africa was absolutely accepted at the time by the likes of the Portuguese Archbishop of Goa.
Minister Teu.
Yeah.
All I have to say is, what?
Well, we got to play that one, right? You have that video?
I don't have it. I'm gonna have to upload it at some point, not on this show. But did he not say black Jews, right? And it was known by the popes and the cardinals and everybody in Portugal and Spain. I'm just saying, I think what needs to happen is that Mr. Garfield needs to come back and apologize to all them Israelites. That's all I'm thinking, because he put it on his own show. But as Minister Dante Forson just said, this backfired a little bit for Garfield. What you think, Mr. Teu?
They keep digging, trying to prove us wrong, and then they help us out. I mean, it is what it is. You can't hide truth. Truth will rise to the surface, and that's what's happening, right? So we're going to have a Hotep Israelite soon, and he'll be going on the Berean show saying I was wrong.
Yep. And Sister E, if you want to come and talk on here, let me know. I'll send you the link from the back. Same thing with you, Dante. So here's the thing, fam. Here's the thing. We're going to get into some stuff, and we're going to talk about some history in connection to DNA, right? So we're not here to debate nothing about DNA. We don't care, right? We keep saying that, right? So here we go, Minister T.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, don't get it wrong. I got a little energy for that little Catholic dude, but I'm gonna leave him alone today. So let me. We're gonna share another video. So we just laying the foundation here for when we get into what we discovered with our DNA.
Hello, I'm Israel and Friends of Israel. It's Rabbi Elazar de Mota here in Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo. We're here at the cemetery where our ancestors that came from Portugal, Amsterdam, and Curaçao, where they were buried. This is where all began for us. The first Jew that was buried here, Jacob Pardo, who was a native from Amsterdam, who died at the age of 45 years old. As you can see here, he was buried in 1826. The next Jew that was buried here, we have from the family of Crasto, Julia de Curiel, Jacob de Curiel. According to history, the majority of the Jews that came from Curaçao were buried in this cemetery at first. At first, it was a Jewish cemetery exclusively on this side of the cemetery. As you can see, that way you have many crosses. And the tombstones that are used where the Jews are buried have no crosses on them. This is a big difference. And this is one way we can identify them. We have Moshe de Crasto and Jacobo de Curiel buried here. Over here, as you can see, because no one takes care of the cemetery, we have Leba, we have a piece of the tombstone. Also on the other side, we have Benjamin Leon, very next to what it may seem to be a family member. Benjamin Leon, Jaime Leon. The reason why we're recording this video is because we need your help. One of the problems that we're having here in the Dominican Republic to establish a Sephardic community is that we have no place to bury our grandparents, our aunts, our family members who have died away. As of right now, we have 5 people that need to be buried according to our Jewish tradition, according to the Sephardic tradition. And they're currently buried in Catholic cemeteries in a place where they're separated from the rest. However, we want to honor them. We want to cherish their memories according to the Jewish tradition. We need your help. We plead to you. As it says, Kol Israel arevim ze bazeh. All of Israel is responsible for one another. We plead to you to help us to be able to build a Jewish cemetery for the Sephardic community here in the Dominican Republic.
All right. Thank you, Brother Zay, for the gift. So, Minister Teu, so we have this connection going back to, Portugal and Spain, the Sephardic Jews. They say, well, y'all not the Sephardic Jews. Well, okay. Well, we got evidence that says otherwise. And as we continue, they're going to see it. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Psalm 83 is truly in effect, right? And I'm telling you, the more I dig, the more I realize the war between the Most High has never stopped, and we're the pawns in the middle. And so the enemy has used us, caused us to sin against the Most High, so we won't have his covering, his protection, and they can take all the blessings for themselves, which were meant for us. So this is why, right, you see all these things going around the world today, because we woke up. It's an emergency response, DEFCON 1 response by the elite to the awakening of our people, okay? And so Psalm 83 is why we are where we are today, why they rewrote history, why they replaced us with a different set of people, right? But the history doesn't lie. We have people who still identify as Sephardic Jews. We have many other tribes in Africa that have always identified as the biblical Israelites. It has they could never fully hide us. It's just that the conspiracy is great against us. And so we're going to show, some of the results we had on this site called mytrueancestry.com. But what I'm going to do also is just share a PowerPoint just to recap what many of you all may have encountered with the Moors, the video on the Moors. All right, so let's see here.
And thank you, Brother Eric, for the gift.
Okay, so just laying the foundation here. So Spain and Portugal, in modern terms, let me read this for you. Al-Andalus was the Muslim root area of the Iberian Peninsula. The term is used by modern historians for the former Islamic states based in modern Portugal and Spain. So this is Portugal and Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, right? And they refer to it as Al-Andalus, right? So just to go back to some references we had previously. Let me pull it. Okay. Right. From our previous show. Right. So basically when the Inquisition started, both the European church aka Catholic Church and Islam, said to the Jews, you either convert to our religion or you will be killed or enslaved. All of this happened around 1492. Both the Muslims and the Catholics and the so-called Christians said, convert or die, right? All right, so here's from History of the Moors in Spain by Florian, 1755, 1794. The primitive Moors were the inhabitants of the vast portion of Africa bounded on the east by Egypt, on the north by the Mediterranean, on the west by the Atlantic, and on the south by the desert of Barbary. The origin of the Moors or Mauritanians is like that of most other ancient nations, obscure, and information we possess concerning their early history confusedly mingled with fables. The fact, however, appears to be established that the Asiatic immigrations were from the earliest times made into Africa, right? So the Moors were Mauritanians. We know where Mauritania is, and even to this day, Mauritania is an Islamic nation. Okay, and so we laying the foundation.
They're gonna say, Minister, tell you don't know what you're reading, right?
Okay, I just read it to him. So how about you break it down for me? I mean, the nonsense got to stop, right? The nonsense got to stop because
then they got to deal with that DNA that ties back to that history when we get there.
Well, there you go, right? 1-2 upper punch, uppercut. How Binyad's video go, right? So in Pastor Kelly's Batman, we gonna just hit you out. We're gonna punch you out. So, what belief system did the Moors convert from? We saw that the Moors were made up of different nationalities, many of which I am sure were Israelite converts. So from this reading, as from the period when that event occurred, the Mauritanians or Moors, right? Same people, the Mauritanians or Moors, and we know where Mauritania is, who were thus suddenly converted to Muhammadeism, have frequently been confounded with the native Arabians. It will be proper to say a few words concerning that extraordinary people, a people who, after occupying for so many centuries an insignificant place among the nations of the earth, rapidly rendered themselves masters of the greater part of the known world. So they admitted here that the Moors dominated the known world, right? And these Moors are known as Mauritanians. Who lives in Mauritania? Black people.
Thank you, Gracie Book Publishing, for the gift.
So I have here, just to identify what the Moors look like, the travels of Ludovico di Whatima, right? Let's see. 2 days afterwards, the Sultan took the field and marched to the city, to said city, Sana, with his army, in which there were 3,000 horsemen, sons of Christians, as black as Moors. Right, so here we have a quote: "Black as Moors." So if you were a Moor, you were what? Black.
Thank you, Sister.
There was no Arabian Moors. Moors were a black Islamic nation of people from Mauritania. All right. Now these people ruled so-called Al-Andalus, right, the Iberian Peninsula, dominated, taught the Europeans how to write, how to do mathematics, how to use soap. This is what the Moors taught them. And who ruled with them? The Jews, right? So here we have a treatise on physical geography comprising hydrology, geodesy, geology. Okay, we need go no further than the Jews of southern Spain and compare them with those of Holland and northern Germany to perceive a very striking difference. The Spanish Jew is always dark complexion, and his hair is uniformly black, while the German Jew is often as fair as any German. All right, so the German Jews were the converts, right? The Ashkenaz, but the original are those Spanish Jews who are dark complexion. Right. In Eder Brouwer's book, The Black Jews, right? Let's see here. When William Brereton noted his impressions of the Jews in the Synagogue of Amsterdam in 1635, he observed that the Jewish men are most black and insatiably given unto women, drawing on contemporary prejudices linking blackness and licentiousness. The Scottish minister Robert Kirk, when he paid a visit to a synagogue in London in 1690, observed more than 200 Jews worshiping and noted they were all very black men. This is in Amsterdam, right? And indistinct in their reasoning as gypsies. This point of view dominated the vision of the Jews so much that Adam G. Degorski, a Polish nobleman, took every light-colored mulatto for a Jew. Let's see here. Yeah, point of view dominated this. Okay, that's the same thing. Okay. Let's see. Francois Maximilian Mission in A New Voyage in Italy, 1714, moderated this opinion. Considering that it is a vulgar error that Jews are all black, it is only true of the Portuguese Jews who, marrying always among one another, beget children like themselves. So
hold on 1 second there, because they keep telling us Israel come in multiple colors. Thank you, JSBS, for the gift. So, but here it says they marry amongst each other and they always black. So who's right?
Here's the problem. Mixed multitude was not a color. They didn't look at themselves as we do concerning color. Mixed multitude was about nations, right? You had the children of Ham, right? The Cushites, the Canaanites, the Mizraim, the children of Mizraim, which are the Egyptians. That was your mixed multitude. It was black people from other nations. They didn't have the concept of color. It was about nations and tribes. So, you know, the misuse of that phrase mixed multitude is because, you know, these modern fake scholars are trying to use the term that we use in America when we talk about the melting pot, right? All nations, all colors and creeds. That is not what was being said when the Bible mentioned mixed multitude left Egypt. Okay, there was no concept of that.
Thank you, Brew Queen and Susan, for the gift.
Okay. History of the ancient synagogue of the Spanish Portuguese Jews and cathedral synagogue. So I have this here because as the second video we showed from the Sephardic Jew brother, if you notice in the title, was concerning Amsterdam, right? So he was, I think he was burying his people in Amsterdam. There were in Amsterdam at the beginning 3 different synagogues, not always friendly disposed toward each other. First, Bet Yaakov, established in 1597, then Neve Shalom, established in 1608, and the third synagogue, Beth Israel, established in 1618. It was only through the influence of the Haham Joseph Pardo, assisted by the other Hahamim, that the 3 synagogues were united into one in 1639. The Eskimo, or the rules of the United Synagogue, numbering 42 paragraphs, were promulgated in 1638. In 1639, 15 more paragraphs were added when the fusion took place, and then they built the old United Synagogue. So you have a whole community of Jews in Amsterdam, but as you saw in the previous quotes that we had, they mentioned that the Jews in Amsterdam were black and given to lusting after women, basically, is what they were saying, right? And that was the ones in Amsterdam.
Thank you, Brother Robert, for the gift.
Yeah, so we see laying the foundation. Who was in Amsterdam were black people. Who were in Spain and Portugal? The Portuguese Jews were what? Always black, right? So now we're going to get into the our discovery. All right, so just give me a second. Okay. Okay, so on mytrueancestry.com, we loaded our DNA, and let me explain to you what this site does. So let's read what we do. Our mission is to help you take your DNA results a step further. Discover your ancient relatives by comparing yourself to thousands of ancient samples from real archaeological sites. Our simple and secure service puts 10,000 years of history and over 85 ancient civilizations from around the world at your fingertips. So this site is unique compared to many other DNA sites in that it
quick
compares.
question, Minister, to you. So in the past, everyone has been comparing themselves to people who were either living today or at some time in the recent time frame, modern time, and they were comparing their haplogroups and all this stuff, right? But the difference here is that they're comparing this to ancient DNA that they physically dug up. That is ancient people living where? In Spain and Portugal. Is that correct?
Correct. Right. So yeah, a lot of people are theorizing based on haplogroups. Oh, we may belong to this group. This group migrated this way, and so some errors would occur when we if they attempted to. I lost my thought there. Well, anyway, ask that question again. I'm sorry, I lost my thought here.
Yeah, I was saying that the archaeological digs is what the difference is, because in the past they were comparing to modern people, right? And so like let's say in South Africa, they would take like 4 people and take a sample, and then they say that's haplogroup whatever, right? As opposed to having someone historically validated. So we know the history. We had the history first before we got into the DNA. And
and that was where I was going. I thank you, because I was going to mention the coenine example where they try to compare the limber to coenine. And the coenine gene is a bad example because it doesn't tie you to ancient DNA. It ties you to a group of people in Europe who claim to be descendants of Levites, right? And so that's not a fair comparison. Hold on one second.
I stepped away for a sec. You wanted me to do something, Minister, to you?
No, I just had to tone it down in here.
Okay.
Yeah, so the coenine comparison was not a good comparison because it didn't compare you to known archaeological discoveries, right? And so what this site does is compare you to known archaeological discoveries. So let's say the Egyptian king, you can compare your DNA to his DNA, and they use autosomal comparisons, or at least the methodologies that they use to look at the chromosome mutations. They will do an STR profile, right? And you can, on the Y chromosome, and you can actually do a paternal comparison. So, some of these guys say, well, you can't use autosomal methodology to look at paternal haplogroups. But you can, because as long as you have the sample, you can sample anything. As long as you have the Y chromosome, you can sample anything.
That just shows you that person didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah, that Catholic boy.
Yeah.
But so there's many mistakes there because autosomal is available as long as you have samples, right? There's no limitation as long as you have quality samples. All right. So let's get into what we discovered. So
you're gonna do the FAQ, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the FAQ first. Yeah. So we're gonna go and look at the FAQ. What is ancient DNA? Samples are retrieved from archaeological digs, e.g., a tooth from human remains, and the DNA is scanned in a complex process, aligning the data with the human genome. Samples which are of high quality can then be processed as ancient DNA samples, right? So if you have good samples, you can compare yourself to anything, no matter how far back in the past that those discoveries are, right? You just need quality samples. So in many cases, some samples are preserved well because they're in cool, cold caves in the dirt or in ice, and they're well preserved. So if you have those good samples, you can do a comparison, right? And so you can see whether or not you actually related to that person or not. You don't have to rely on just haplogroup, right? So where does my true ancestry get its samples? How can there be thousands of samples? Raw samples are available to the public on online academic databases in raw format. Many ancient samples are of poor quality, but using advanced techniques, it is possible to pull valuable information which can be used for comparisons. How can my true ancestry determine my ancient origin? By combining the latest archaeogenetic techniques with powerful admixture algorithms and cloud computing, my true ancestry can accurately compare anyone with a wide variety of ancient DNA samples via data triangulation and clustering. One can be categorized and compared with ancestors separated by thousands of years. So there's no problem comparing yourself to Ramses III, for example, right? So, Minister Jacoby, you want to add anything?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next tab, and we're going to show you some of the results from our DNA when we loaded our DNA to this site. So if you do have your DNA from a company that provides you the raw files, you can load it at this site and see what your results are.
Yeah, and we went through this with Brother Rawls. We got together with him. We did his as well. And guess what? He showed up as well. I'm just saying, they say a lot of us wasn't on the boat. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Right. So, but the thing is, what you notice is how large the conspiracy is, right? Because once we start putting the pieces together, it took a coordinated effort, Psalm 83. It took a coordinated effort to oppress the information and suppress our people. All right. So right now, you know, almost every nation is involved in hiding who we are. And the fact that we're waking up without their help is concerning to them. All right. So this is why you have the global lockdown. All right. So our closest ancient population, Yoruba, right? A Nigerian nation, and Al-Andalus, right? Which is part of the image in our logo. And as I had mentioned here, Al-Andalus was the Muslim root area, see here, of the Iberian Peninsula. So it's the area that was involved in the Spanish Inquisition, right? So it's going somewhere. It's lining up with the history we discovered. So the history came first. It just so happens our DNA is reaffirming these things, right?
Quick question, Minister Tate.
Yeah.
Brother Rawls want to show his results. Okay,
bring him in, and when I'm finished with what I'm doing, he can show his. That would be awesome.
All right, Brother Rawls, I'm gonna send you the link through Facebook.
Okay, so you can see here at the bottom our comparison. Now this can be a little different from everyone else's, but usually it's very similar in the ballpark, right? So we have Yoruba, Al-Andalus. Al-Andalus is that Iberian Peninsula area, right? Yoruba and Moor, Khoisan, Al-Andalus, Khoisan, Moor, Bantu, Yoruba. Now, so for our enemies, they'll say, well, Khoisan are Hamites, and so therefore you're a Hamite and you're tied to Al-Andalus. But as we know about the Bantu migration, we came in and took over areas that were led by the Khoisan, right? So this is how you see this combination. But our top level distance is Yoruba and Al-Andalus, which is Spain and Portugal. So let's put it this way. You are Nigerian Negroes who have genetic ties to Spain and Portugal. Well, why is that? Right? Your secondary match is Yoruba and Moors. Now, if you go back and watch our Moor video, you'll find out that many Moors were Israelites who converted to Islam, right? So that will break that down for you. So next would be our closest genetic modern population. So our results here now in our modern comparison of their samples, our number one match is, whoa, what a surprise, Limba. Limba. So, you know, that Catholic boy was wondering if we'd match up to Limba in our first match, right? But we do. See, our number one match is Limba, Bantu, Biaka, Pygmy. You see all of these same results in Jed match, right? Same thing, all right? So you can see this PNA analysis. It's going to look similar to Jed match, right? You see Ethiopian Jew, Moroccan, Egyptian. Oh, I thought y'all were a bunch of Negroes from West Africa that had no history, right? Limba, Bantu, right? So this is our connection, Jordan. So, well, the color ones is the ones we actually match, but this is the range they looked at. And so you can see Ethiopian Jew, Ethiopian, Biaki, Pygmy, Bantu, Limba, right? The blue. All right. So now here's something interesting, right? So your full Y-DNA breakdown. Now this is interesting. So what this is really showing you here is that our genetic match, right? Our Y-DNA breakdown. Basically, you're looking at the chromosome loci. The loci is on the chromosome and saying, how do you match? Which group do you match the closest to? Right. So even though we are G2A4, right? Everybody like to harp on that. But even though we G2A4 now, our G2A4, our genetic makeup matches mostly E1B. Right. So
well, I don't understand, man, to tell you. So they were saying that we could identify who Israel is by haplogroup. So shouldn't our G be a closer match than E1B1A?
Well, this was part of our argument from the very beginning. We were like, shouldn't your haplogroup be reaffirmed and confirmed by your autosomal? It should, if your theory holds, right? Your haplogroup should be reaffirmed by your autosomal, but it didn't because when we were on Orthodox Moore show, we had Anonymous Hebrew, we had a couple of other brothers on there with us when we were talking, and even Orthodox Moore, each one of us had a different haplogroup, right? But genetically, autosomally, we all showed up tied to the Limba and things like that, Nigeria, that whole breakdown. But some of them were R1, we were G, some were E, right? So from the way things are being taught, they're saying your haplogroup proves who you are, but yet the haplogroup in that scenario, we each had different haplogroups, but we all tied back autosomally. Well, in this case, you can see we are G2A4, but out of all of their samples, our autosomal genetic match ties back to E1B, right? So even though we G2A4, we only match to G 4.85%. We match to E1B 34.9%. So our genetic makeup, our autosomal match matches people who are E1B more so than people who are G. You see? So that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and we're not here to debate this whole thing, but it's the complexities that we were talking about. There's complexities to this whole thing that was not being discussed.
Yeah, I mean, let's look. When we met with the YAP group, I love that because it was private. We went in a private group. We discussed things. We asked questions. Nobody grandstanding. So if y'all want to ever talk about that, we could do that. Let's get together. Let's go over our DNA together. Let's talk about these results, and let's see what if we could come to a meeting of the minds. But that's what we're seeing here. Is that?
Thank you, Sean, brother Sean, for the gift.
Is that although we G2A4, we only match to the G group 4.85%. The majority of our genetic makeup matches people who are E1B. All right. So the ancestral globe, right? So in the Neolithic period, which is 3,000 years ago or so, right? Our genes match up to Morocco, right? And we know it's claimed that a lot of Sephardic Jews went there. We know the Limba history that they ultimately ended up there and then into Nigeria. Many, the Yoruba have a similar Jewish migration where they went through North Africa, ended up in Morocco, and then came down to Nigeria, right? And this is the Neolithic period, right, which is pre-Israel. But the Bronze Age, you can see, oh, look what happened here. We're in Iberia. We're in Spain and Portugal, right? 2200 BC.
So understand, if we didn't do the history first, we'd be looking at this, not saying, how did we get to Spain? How did we get to Portugal? Shouldn't we be in Africa? That's what we would be saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we saw this first, we would be like, what? We'd be like, how does that line up, right? Because if you go by traditional European teaching, Europe was always all white, right? France was white. Spain and Portugal was white. No blacks were there, right? We are breaking that narrative, right? The more we dig into history, the more the DNA evidence comes out, that is not going to hold. All right, so you can see here, right? Our genetic match to now. Don't forget, this is being compared to ancient DNA discoveries, ancient bones, right? This is using real discoveries in these areas, and we're matching genetically to discoveries in this area. So another one was what? The Levant. We matched to a person who died 2,250 years ago, according to them. Now, this is real ancient DNA matches, right? And then you also have Kenya, well, Ethiopia, right? Ethiopian Jews, Kenya, and I don't know, Kenya again. Kenya, Preet John. I wonder if Preet John is tied to Prester John.
Yeah, that is Prester John.
Okay, exactly. Prester John.
And once again, I'm just going to say this, right? You ain't got to agree. But the fact that it's showing up in East Africa and Kenya and all that stuff just makes it more relevant that I'm close to where the true land of Israel, Jerusalem is. That's just my opinion, but
Right, because our older DNA starts off here, right, in East Africa, right? It starts off in East Africa, and as you progress through from Bronze Age to Iron Age like that, it moves out, right? So the late Bronze Age, I think we ended up, let's see, this says 2200 BC. Now, yeah, I just wonder how they able to properly date that. Carbon dating is known to not be that accurate, so I don't know if it's really 2200 BC.
So before you continue, Minister Tayu, can you comment on this? And thank you for the gift, Brian.
Okay, this person must have came in late because I already answered that. I already said that many Moors were known to be Jews who converted to Islam. Yep. Not only that, the Moors and the Jews ruled Spain and Portugal during that period in history, right? During the 700 AD to 1492. And it was ruled by Moors and Jews.
And if he were to go watch some of our older videos, he would find out that some of the Moors came to the United States and they were descendants of Jews and they were black Negroes.
Well documented. Yep, well documented. You need to go watch our other video on the Moors before you make statements, and you haven't done the work because you're just feeling a little some kind of way, and that's not proper, right? You want to do some research, back it up. All right. Late Bronze Age. Iron Age, right? Iron Age, pretty much when a lot of that biblical stuff, late Bronze Age to Iron Age, when a lot of the biblical events took place. Whoa, lo and behold, 500 AD. So our genes were still there after BC, after Christ, 500 AD.
So I have a question that they're not going to ask. Why we keep showing up in Spain and Portugal if we black Africans, you know what I'm saying? Why are we over there? If we're not the Jews, why are we over there?
Well, according to them, you're an African Hamite, and if you're an African Hamite, you should not be showing up in Europe.
Nope. Let alone, it all ties to the history that we've been showing that the Negroes were black Jews, and they were in Spain and Portugal, and went to Sao Tome, and went to Angola, and blah, 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 blah.
But look, you can still see, even during this Iron Age, look at this gathering, this cluster here. So as Minister Yacobo was saying, this sort of would hint to where our origins in Africa probably were. And if that's the case, somewhere along this East Coast would be where true Jerusalem is, right? Mm-hmm. That's our position on it.
Any comments, Brother Ross?
Yeah, I I'm just so glad that I got a chance to sit down with y'all. You know, salam and shalom to all the family out there. But yeah, I'm thankful. And I told y'all tonight that we got a chance to chill. That I'm thankful that we sat down and did this because and shared both our results right then and there because y'all got the same match, almost the same matches I got. You know, and I already knew, you know, just to put it out there, see, with my mom being a Gentile, I knew I was going to come up with plenty of European descent from my mom's side. So let's just go ahead and dead all of that. I knew. So I'm not even bothered, not even flinching from there, none of that. But when we're talking about our wired DNA, you know what I'm saying, just to be on the specific side to make sure, I mean, these same matches right here, and then here in a couple of seconds, or a couple moments whenever y'all ready, and I share mine, everybody gonna see the same matches.
Exactly. And you know, like I mentioned in the tail group on Facebook, there's a whole bunch of other people as well. All right, Minister Tail, you continue.
Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna leave it right there on the ancestral globe, but it's, you know, it's very interesting. You can see the move through the ages and see how early our DNA was there, right? And according to the historical references like Yaya Negro and them, right? Yaya Negro claimed that they came to Spain after the Babylonian invasion, right? And that they were of the royal house of David, right? And yet all of us now, if that statement can hold water, if that's true that Yaya Negro was from the house of David, they came after the Babylonian captivity, then and that means that we are probably of the house of David, right? We already know we're Judah, but that probably means we are of the royal bloodline, right? Because Yaya Negro was, and all those people who were there with him was his family.
Thank you, Sister Cobello, for the gift. And also understand this. It's all of y'all Negroes here who descendants of slaves. Don't let nobody twist it and say you not.
Facts.
Well, that's what when it comes down to it, you know, they say, well, oh, look, they went from no Negroes on the slave, no Israelites on the slave ship to, oh yeah, there was some Israelites on the slave ship. Now, when you look at the DNA, you have to explain why the DNAs are so similar. If the DNA is similar, then all of us are Israel. That's the bottom line. Now, you go find anyone that's ADOS, American descendants of slaves, and run their DNA, you're going to find similar results. It's just 100% of the time. That's all I've seen. All right. So one more thing. Where were we? Was this? I don't think I had anything on this tab. Do you remember?
That's right, Karis.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you covered everything, right?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's everything we wanted to cover. We're gonna pass the torch to Brother Rawls, and let's see what he has to share.
All right. So I'm gonna share my full screen with y'all because I got this on 2 separate browsers.
Thank you for the gift, Brother Jermaine.
All right. So right here. So starting off, let's go all ages. Let's just go ahead and dead the foolishness. All ages.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on.
All ages, all periods. Like I said, this is just dead the foolishness. This is most likely my mama's side. All right. Now that we done got that out the way from my mama's side, let's go ahead and go into the Neolithic, then the Bronze Age. Right there. Not only that, well, where am I at? In the Bronze Age, right down here. And then also late Bronze Age. Where am I at? Right here. And then over here still. And then, oh, I'm right back up here again. Still.
Why are you over there in Spain and Portugal, Brother Rawls?
Man, and look, the Iron Age. Look, right there again. In the Iron Age. What time period is that? So right there, still again. Right around Negro Village. Early medieval. Look, I'm still there. Why am I still there? Okay. And then little do people know that there were Jews that got sent from here to the Canary Islands. Right here. They got sent from here to here, and then I ended up sharing that inside the group, inside the Tell You Ministries group. Oh, but look where else I'm at, early medieval, all the way down here. I'm all down through here and up here.
Thank you for the gift, Brother Mario.
And then look, even more still. Why am I still all through here in Spain, Tarshish?
So Brother Ross,
how come you in the Levant too, Brother Ross? What's up with that?
I mean,
I thought you were African. I thought we were African. How come we showing up in Europe? I'm just saying. How come it lines up with the history we've been presenting? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I'm wanting to know the same thing. But look, the whole time, let's just go on back. Look, the Neolithic, Bronze Age, Late Bronze Age, Iron Age, early medieval. I'm my DNA stay right there. Stays right there. All periods. Now look, all periods, all through here. But I've been staying all right there. My DNA been staying all right there. Now my level ain't up as high as y'all's, but at the same time, if we were to actually have the money to go ahead and have them unlock all of our DNA, because now look, with all periods, look at this. Oh, moving a little too fast.
Thank you, a little too fast. Michael.
Look, this right here is still showing 1599. Look at that. In 1599, this is during the slave trade. This is during during that. So I got ancestors that somehow got across this ocean. How did they get across this ocean? You know what I'm saying? From all the way over there to all the way over here down in Central America. And then also up here, a cholera victim. All right. So
now that's a good point, Brother Ross. I'm glad you mentioned that. How did they get
from there to over here?
I don't know, man. How you over there and you not Israel, but you all over the Levant, you all over Spain and Portugal, you all over Africa. You shouldn't be in America. Y'all shouldn't be the same people.
Oh my, I know, right?
But you know, the interesting thing is, like you mentioned with the slave who we matched to, because I didn't show that, but we also matched to a slave in Mexico in the 1500s, like Brother Rawls. And where do you think that slave came from? That was during the Spanish migration. Not the Inquisition, but the what do you call it? The migration or whatever to the New World, right? When they went to take their plot of land in the New World, Spain was in Mexico first. They took the slaves from where? The slaves came from Europe, Spain, and Portugal. Who were those slaves? The ones that they were punishing, the ones they were killing, the ones they were kicking out during the Inquisition.
When you get a chance, see if you can find that, Minister, tell you, and we'll show it, because that lines up with the history of us coming over to the Americas before slavery as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and during slavery. So I mean, there was a whole bunch going on. You had the free slaves, you had the ones who were slaves straight out of Portugal and Spain. I'm like, this whole thing lines up.
Right. Well, remember too, you know, when it comes to Savannah, Georgia, you know, and the whole church thing, it reaffirms, you know, what Pastor Kelly and them are talking about, because the people in that area were what? Sephardic Jews. And we saw that the Portuguese Jews were always black. Spanish Jews were dark, right? So once again, it reaffirms who those people were at the time these events took place.
So just to let y'all know, because somebody was asking, this is at mytrueancestry.com. All you need to do is take your file from any one of your other sites and upload it. I think it has to be a more recent version. It can't be too old like you did it 10 years ago, right?
Right.
Yeah, because I tried to load an older version and I had problems. I had to go get an updated version.
And you got to download your raw data. You know, it'll be in like a zip file. It's going to be a large zip file. Like I had to do it like 3 different times because I ended up downloading like a compressed of something. And then I had to go back to the 23andMe site and actually get the proper raw data file. I had to follow the instructions like, oh, that's the raw data file they was talking about. And so, like we was just talking about, so my closest ancient populations are Bantu and Al-Andalus. Like, look at that. So, like on my personal channel, ministry channel on Red Letter Rap, I told people that there was a possibility of me talking about some of the sins of my forefathers. So this conversion from being who we were, I'll leave it just this simple. This converting away from the true way of what should be known as the way, following the scriptures of the Most High, which is Christ. That is the way. We converted from the way to Islam and Roman Catholic Christianity. That is part of the sins and iniquity of my forefathers and of a lot of our forefathers. And that's how we got to this place that we trapped in right now.
So that wood and stone came to pass, huh?
That sure did.
That's the thing you find out as you go through the history, you go through the DNA, you validated that every word that the Most High spoke against us has come to pass. And I'm waiting on that other prophecy, our Exodus.
I can't wait for that. So, I mean, now I could show, if y'all want, I can go into the, let's see here. I could go into, well, I'd have to pull back and then pull back in because I'm not going to share my my kit number.
I mean, don't you ain't got to worry about because that. We're running down on the time anyway. Do you got any final thing you wanted to show?
That pretty much that's it right there, just to show that what my results were, you know what I'm saying, even for the level that in which I unlocked on mytrueancestry.com matches right up with y'all's too. And so even with what you were saying about south of Ethiopia, right around that area there towards Kenya, as a matter of fact, right around in Kenya, I have so much DNA ancestry. I mean, even through my timeline, so much DNA ancestry that's right there in Kenya. It's ridiculous. Of Kenya, Tanzania, I mean, and I ended up doing another check on something I shared with y'all. So much of my DNA is in Gabon, is in Zambia, Tanzania, Angola, I mean, Botswana, I mean, Congo, Cameroon, I mean, all the places that they sold us from. And then even on 23andMe, they say I'm Ghanaian or Nigerian, Senegalese, even Cameroon once again, Congolese once again, even on 23andMe with the little small ambiguousness of their site, not even going on a deep dive because they don't go that far. But matching up what a little bit of what they give to my true ancestry and with GEDmatch shows that I'm Limba and shows Bantu, shows Igbo, shows, I mean, so family, like, do not let these wicked people fool you, lie to you, and tell you there's no way that you could possibly be the people of the book. Just even as a so-called, and I can't say so-called, even as a Book of Deuteronomy mamzer, you know what I'm saying? We got to flush that stuff out our head too. And I want to thank y'all as well for both of you brothers for talking some good wisdom to me about that, because the Most High knew that we were going to be scattered across this world, across this plane, and then what was going to happen to the seed from the time that we got here. And after 400 years, there's no way that the bloodline could stay pure. So don't let that mamzer talk get to near none of y'all neither.
Exactly. So let me share the timeline. That's something I didn't show. Okay, so this is the timeline.
That's what's happening. Second birth Hebrew. Pay no mind.
Yeah. So what you can see that our genetic timeline: ancient Ethiopian, right? Kenyan during the Stone Age, Bantu, Cameroon, Shuma Lake, right? So remember, all of these locations are matches to archaeological discoveries, right? So these are actual comparisons to just DNA that they dug up. All right. So Phoenician, ancient Egyptian, right? You know Israel gonna have some of that in them, right? Ancient Egyptian. So let's see. I think so. You can see here early colonial Mexico City slave trade victim, right? So we have someone who was a slave trade victim. What 1472. So they took one of the during this time the Inquisition was going on, and one of our people was taken to Mexico as a slave, right? And that's how we tie back to that. Then you can see the Yoruba, the Congo, Mbata Congo Kingdom, Yoruba, Khoisan. So the timeline, everything lines up with what we have previously taught on the history. There's some background noise. Someone.
Oh, that might have been my phone vibrating.
Okay.
Yeah, that from the living room.
Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, look, you can adjust this. Let's see. We can adjust the timeline here. Let's see. Let's go shorter. And look, they got snips in the number of matches in the snips and all that, right? So that tells you how many matches it actually found at the time. Okay. All right. I shortened the from. See, number of samples. Let's go. Let's shorten it. Let's go down here.
Did you hit the update button?
I did. Let's see. I'm just shortening the list so we can see, narrow it down. It doesn't look like it's narrowing down though, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Yeah.
Let's see. Number of samples.
Shouldn't be. Well, I guess give it a try. See what happens.
Okay. Maybe I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah, that may be it too.
Yeah, let's do that this way.
That don't look good. Well,
right.
We won't worry about it.
One more time. All
right.
Okay. Well, yeah. Before I was able to narrow this down, and you could just see certain periods. So, like this should be in the AD section until let's see. Okay. Let's try it like that. Maybe that's the one I should have moved. Well, it's not. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, you can see all of this. You can play around with it with your own. Yeah.
All right. Any final comments, Brother Rawls? Then Minister tell you, and I'll close it out.
Well, once again, thank y'all for letting me come on your platform. Thank you for letting me share. All praise to the Most High. Shalom, family. Y'all be safe out there, all right? Don't let nobody fool you.
Yeah, so I just want to say, a lot of our DNA ties during the time of the Reconquista, when the Isabel and Ferdinand took back what we call Spain today, which was really Spain and Portugal, which was Al-Andalus, right? Our DNA shows up during that time period. Exactly. And as Brother Rawls has showed, it never really left, right? We had people there, and we had people in the Levant. We had people in East Africa. Okay. It's undeniable. I mean, why we knew the history before we knew the DNA, right? So how is it our DNA is being reaffirmed? I mean, our history is being reaffirmed by our DNA, right? There's no way getting around who we are. So peace and blessing, Israel.
Yeah, they can't deny who we are. I mean, all the evidence we put out there, but it don't matter because truth don't matter to them. So, but thanks, Brother Raw. Thanks, Minister Tayu, and thank you all, family. And also, I want to thank all of the Cash App givers. I want to thank all of the Super Chat givers, and definitely our patrons. And also, family, please make sure you support the Dry Bones Project. That's very important because we're connecting with the continent. Those dry bones coming together. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah.